This is Shirley with Spirit of Matter, and I'm coming to you shielded, protected, back to sender all malefic energies. And if it's more humane for those who send malefic energies towards me, towards my viewers, or anybody to die than to get the back to sender, then so be it. And this is a Zeus day, Jupiter day, and Venus hour. We have both ascendant and midheaven ruled by Jupiter, and the IC is right next to Jupiter. Jupiter, 21 degrees Gemini, and is already retrograde. Look at this! Look at this lot of fortune, 18-degree Gemini. We're going to talk about toxicity today and what to do about it. We have Mercury here in the 8th house, but conjuncting Spica. So we're going to call on the blessings of Spica, and we're going to call, yes, on the energy of sidereal Venus in Libra, because Venus is sidereally in Libra. And tomorrow in my region might be a good day to make talisman of this Venus. I don't know if I will make it, okay? I know Cracia Tasio is making sidereal Venus evening star, and she's doing it correctly with the fasting, the herbs, everything original. So you want to check out her work. And she also has a course on astrological magic. And I'm open to dividends if you purchase this course from me. So you can tell her you got there through me. So Moon is applying to oppose Mars. And this is a great time to talk about the building tension of Mars and Pluto. So I'm going to talk about the building tension of Mars and Pluto and how to release it with Neptune, okay? I'm going to also talk about Jupiter retrograde, okay, kind of flipping the script. And I'm going to talk about the current Venus, okay? Venus is going to be opposing Uranus, which it rules in the upcoming days, which is another point to talk about. I'll get into some of it today. Tomorrow is Venus day where I am, so I'll probably get even more information, but now is Venus hour. Let's begin with Mars opposing Pluto, okay, what the moon is signaling, okay? And Mars is building up tension to Pluto, okay? Just today there are kind of twin towers, not twin trade towers, but twin towers of Azrieli Center in Tel Aviv, and today 5 number of Mars people were planning to bomb the entire building. It's not enough 5 people to bomb the entire building, I hope you understand, but that was what was on the news. And unfortunately, Azrieli Group is not exempt from being affiliated with those who receive funding through groups that are affiliated with satanic ritual abuse. Okay, so I'm not saying Azrieli Group, I'm not here, I'm not alleging anything, but we know that there is a binding, okay, between these, and it's not impossible that underneath these buildings there are caves with the children kidnapped. So we're gonna do a bingo, caves with kidnapped children, and if you have, okay, the ability to protect yourself, you might try to locate such things. So that can be around every emergency center, especially for children, every welfare, every hospital, especially psychiatric, but not limited to. And those can be places, okay, where you can go, look, protect yourself, okay, and you can go with the camera and see what you find, because maybe you find the cave, maybe you find people, but you must understand you might see sights that are very difficult to see. So here we are, planning to, crack the code and begin to get these children out of the caves so we can build up to the Pluto-Mars opposition, where we basically preparing ourselves for the ingress of Pluto into Aquarius, okay? So instead of waiting for the crisis of the banking system to happen, stuff like what happened today in Azrieli, okay, attempting to take down the Twin Towers to happen, okay, for things to happen to us, those of us that are not too lethargic can already be active about things and be active about what drives this. Because if there are children kidnapped underneath the building, of course building gonna go down, okay? We know this. Okay, we know this. Or bank is going to go down, whether it's going to collapse the structure itself or collapse of the banking. We know Pluto ingressing into Aquarius. The first touch was a couple of banks coming down, you know, and this is very difficult for the common people. So even though certain things you would say need to happen and so on, it's not like we're given a leverage, okay, to sustain. It's actually what they try to, to do to kill people, yes, or to get them to kill themselves. Okay, so as this Mars is building the tension, we have 10 degrees still between Mars and Pluto. Okay, it's only beginning. 10 degrees, it's going to be there active until April. So we are in October. And mind you, we're in the beginning of October. 10th October, I believe, today. Yes, 10th October today. Okay, so we got a couple of months of this intensity. And this is where I have to talk to you about the remedy. Okay, because intensity is up. Mars is real estate. Moon is real estate. Moon is housing. Okay, Moon is mothers. Okay, but just I told you what happened with my makler. Okay, that he asked if I sleep with my mother. So, and a couple of times he asked, do you sleep in the same bed, or why won't you live together? You understand, if he's makler, he wants to sell 2 apartments or rent 2 apartments, not 1 apartment. Okay, so he has no financial interest to keep me and my mother in 1 apartment, and definitely not for to do it in a way of, are you sleeping in the same bed, are you sleeping together? Okay, so you understand, this is real estate, housing, makler, okay, agent. Now it can be that what we talked about, mind control, mass psychosis, can be that he was attacked by MK Ultra or by mind control. Okay, I'm not saying because this person 2 years been okay, but of course, yeah, immediately stopped paying rent for this person. And so whoever did this, whoever involved, they should not giving my money to people who ask me if I sleep with my mother, and I'm also not moving out. I'm not going to be unhoused. So you see how this thing kind of cracked down. What was I doing? Treating teeth. You remember with the Achillea. Teeth is karma. Won't let, okay, all these things that I want to swipe under the rug, it won't let me swipe under the rug. I have to set boundaries. We had what? The solar eclipse in Libra. Libra is my 8th house, but it's also solar eclipse with Ketu. We had to stop being compliant. Okay? So you saw even me, the broadcaster, deal with something to do with the real estate and to do with me and with my mother. Okay? So you see, Moon, mother, housing, caring, food. And what I told him, isn't that enough that a woman cannot live alone? Isn't that enough that a woman has to choose between, a woman alone has to choose between a rent or a meal? Okay? And I even bought a meal in McDonald's. Everybody now ditches McDonald's, but that was what was to eat at the airport. Where I stayed out to keep calm. And it was 73 shekels for the 1973 war, okay? So I said, I'm going to do it. I said, fuck it. I'm going to eat well. And later I bought not McDonald's, but actually food is nourishing for my teeth, for my nervous system, okay, the omegas, the antioxidants, some goji berries, some nuts, some things you usually buy at Whole Foods, some things you don't have access to just when you need it to, just when you're recovering from trauma. So you see how for this action was taken just to treat my teeth, because anesthesia doesn't work. Even if I get funding for treatment, okay? Let's say, I don't know, help, charity or so, it doesn't work if I am hungry. And it's not about eating McDonald's, okay? At that point, it was like, I'm going to eat what is, and that was McDonald's. But later, I bought good food. And anesthesia is not going to work if my nervous system not supported, if I'm in stress. So this karma, I cannot F with that. And so I have to set the boundary. And everything that made me lethargic, okay? The sexual boundary violation, psychological abuse, energy, psychic attack, all of these things have to go. I gotta clear my teeth, man, right? I won't move. I moved here, I moved there, I moved job, I moved this, I moved that. So you see, this is all the Mars Pluto. So we say enough is enough. It's both the solar eclipse in Libra, and now Venus is in Mars, and Mars is applying to post-Pluto. Now we set the boundaries so clear, that the not did that, do that, gaslighting, word salad, no word salad. No word salad, quinoa salad. Not word salad, quinoa salad. Go speak to you with your wallet. Because you touch my well-being, you touch my housing, you touch my food on the table, my presence in my body. Nah. Why? Because I had no money to buy a good bra. I bought myself a bra. Quarter of the rent. Yeah, it's a good bra. Jacuba. My grandmama used to work after she worked in the first job, okay? She retired, she kept on working. For the textile, not textile factory like Dimona, textile for Jacuba. There were bathing suits, bras, and so on and so forth. Then eventually, because she's back there, she already had diabetes. Then she lost her feet, for she worked all her life. Now she won't let me work that much. Ever since I started to work, and I started working actually in McDonald's. I worked 4 years and no more. Cannot stand. Later I tried to work call center. My throat sores. Cannot stand. I go to holistic medicine because usual medicine doesn't work. She said you must create. A colleague of mine said you must express yourself. You have truth to say that is blocking your throat chakra. I had no idea what are these things. This is how I would get to holistic medicine. So I said, oh, the crisis I have at work is because I needed to develop myself and be true to myself and be more creative and be the right job for me, okay? But now it's housing, okay? Then first time happened, I moved housing. But what, am I going to move every time, move housing? Right? The house is okay. There's nothing wrong with the house. Was nothing wrong with the makler as well. But then he asked me if I sleep with my mom. I said, I'm not going to pay for this for such person. I didn't want to plan to move out. House is okay. He's going to have to ask the lawyer, the landlord, Udinao. For why? Because now the check returned. Now it's a big problem. Then his son calls me. I said, well, your father asked me if I sleep with my mama. He said, I only want to hear about the check. I says, disrespectful way to talk to women and people. Okay? This is the Mars Pluto. Ain't even Mars Pluto yet. Okay? It's not even getting to the opposition. And the house itself is not registered the way properly it should be registered. So basically, all of this could be tax evasion. I don't know what they're doing. I don't care what they're doing as long as I'm safe. Okay, I'm not here to judge people how they run their businesses. They're in business for 40 years. They're building 40 years. The family of the makler used to live in the building. It's great apartment, great estate. You need maybe to fix this, to fix that, but it's, it's a good apartment. It's a good estate. I develop the land, make infrastructure to bring in the water to the soil, the way I said, with the half moons, raise quality of estate, but also raise quality of living. Now, of course, everything must go, all corruption must go. It's not about the tax evasion here, tax evasion there. There's no human trafficking, okay? Not doing things for your tenants like this or like that or to blackmail. And if not coming from the person, it's coming from MK Ultra, okay. Then, what? Whoever did this should pay. Yes? Now you see how the entire composition is building up to set boundaries such as never before. Because the people, okay, Moon, Cancer, the people, we the people, getting pushed to corner where We have to set huge boundary, and the eclipse, solar eclipse in Libra supporting us to set huge boundary. No more will I tolerate this. And if a makler was schizophrenic, which I don't believe is schizophrenia, here is housing first and open dialogue, believe in the person. Then the therapy for him is housing first, without depending on ability to work, whether he can work, not work, and then without time limit, so he can have time to recover and to believe his testimony. Who knows? This, if indeed is not coming from him, is hurting his business. Because of course nobody is going to go, you're sleeping with her, but why should I move out? There's nothing wrong with the apartment, nothing wrong with the estate. It's only the makler. And makler was good for 2 years. While during the war he got like this, okay, but we know that there was psychic attacks during the war. So I'm also not going to be pushing him to corner, but I'm not going to give up for anything. So if people try to make we the people crazy, we know that schizophrenia is cured by housing first and believing the person and allowing them time to rest, okay? Indefinite time to rest when they've been through crisis, whether financial, emotional, something, yes. And then even if they heard voices, they this, they that, it becomes supportive. If the good environment is becoming supportive, and if they can step, okay, we have to have a little yard at least, some yard, not only to grow some stuff, and to grow some stuff is useful if you can, but to walk bare feet on the land whenever the weather is good, so you can adjust to your nervous system. You see how it all becomes applied science. Worked in Finland, okay? Now it's the money time. Put your money where your mouth is. I say, I put my money where my mouth is. Now he got to put the money where his mouth is. If you indeed, okay, not meant to no disrespect, put your money where your mouth is. Compensate. Because this got into corner, okay? Now we're going to see that a lot with the people. We, the people, pushed into corner. All people. The moon, Cancer, it rules the people. People pushed into a corner where they must set a boundary. This is a fierce boundary. It's direct confrontation with Pluto. Pluto is going to go between a Capricorn and finally 19 November ingress to Aquarius. So we begin with the plutocracy of the pyramid. But we don't end there. We're going to continue in with the plutocracy of the sciences. I said what I said, housing first cures schizophrenia and believe in the person. So people say psychotic is not psychotic. They're channeling something that's very real. And we're in good environment, they're not psychotic. Maybe they'll have channeling, maybe muse, art, supportive voice, yes. This is science, proper science. No more putting people in imprisonment, in slavery, by the excuse of they're being crazy. Science already backed up. Anything is not that is hurting patient. Why? Because what you see with these pills that they give or the shots that they give, causing heart attack, causing akathisia, which is non-involuntary movements, causing this, causing that, okay? But it's not only this science. We're going to see all the sciences. We the people and we the leaders going to be in direct confrontation this winter with the pyramid, the plutocracy, the taxation, the government, the hidden banking, and with decentralized system. Now I wonder where will the rubber bank fall, because the rubber bank is cooperative, it's a decentralized structure. And I was very surprised because you would think it's the most centralized thing. This is basically what governs all the wars you see right now alongside Bank of America. They give the funding, okay, the Netherlands, and they do for the, according to testimonial of Lars, testimonial of Trudy Verstegen, and I believe them, and I'm allowed to believe whoever that I wanna, right? That they do all satanic ritual abuse on all the leaders. Not just the Rutte and the Wilders, all the Tweede Kamer, all the Dutch parliament. So judges too. And then for the children, they have to perpetuate abuse to stay alive. Okay? So we're going to be beginning with all the pyramidal structures, and then we go to the extra pyramidal structures. Okay? And people gonna be pushed to corners. People and leaders. What is happening with Mark Rutte? Sorry for putting, April eclipse was all about Geert Wilders. Okay? He had it, he was rising and rising. Now I do believe he has good chances to be prime minister with this eclipse and so on. He was rising and rising from this marginalized to right-wing person never heard and never seen, and always pushed down and had to live in imprisonment, and never did something worse than any other person that had to do with this, satanic cults. Now being seen, okay? Being seen, and so much so that may become Prime Minister of Netherlands, okay? For these recent eclipses, even the Libra eclipse, but also the Pisces eclipse, this is the time for Mark Rutte, okay? Mark Rutte, head of NATO, all eyes on him, for the good things, for the challenging things, and everybody for blaming him for something that he is one person in entire parliament. And not only that, his strategy was to accommodate. So he even said, I don't let my vision restrict me. So, although he is agenda contributor for the World Economic Forum, okay, now head of NATO, which headquarters are in Brussels. Again, Brussels, I said Brussels, and I own Brussels to Geert Wilders, because Geert Wilders said Brussels before me. Okay? But now Mark Rutte, head of NATO, and he is being accused for something where in fact he was just accommodating. His strategy the whole time was to find what the common ground of the people so they don't fight, and this how he kept being prime minister for 20 years. So he's not a tyrant. Not only that, Geert Wilders had to distinguish himself with almost betrayal moves, so because Meneer Rutte was so accommodating. Okay? So now everybody's and I predicted when this Mars is going to hit Leo and oppose Pluto, we're gonna have all eyes on Mark Rutte, because this is the leader, okay, and leader of army, okay, leader Leo of army, Mars, Mark Rutte, head of NATO, okay, and so it will be direct confrontation. But we remember that first of all, he himself is a survivor, just like any one of them, of these satanic ritual abuse camps. If you listen to Lars' testimonial, it's not just testimonial that he was hurt by Wilders and Rutte, but that he saw that they were abused too. Okay, it's not putting them on the spot. He just want to end this satanic ritual abuse practice that affect all our economy, our politics, the chance to get representation, public discourse, our artists, the music industry. You heard Jaguar right, okay? Our lawyers, our judges, are people that look into when the police not working right, okay? Like Peter de Vries, the cold cases foundations. All of these things affected by this, because this is infiltration. You know what? Even drug cartels affected by this malefically. You wouldn't believe that, right? But this is true. And so it begins with the people, the people's army, the people's armor, the people arming up, the people setting boundaries, a fierce boundary. But we're gonna see a very interesting is leader of army. Okay, so it can be generals, can be high commanders. Okay, can be of course Mark Rutte, but not only everybody who is leader of armed forces. Okay, these people are going to be putting fierce boundary maybe to the decentralized system that is hidden elite. Okay? So they gotta be prepared because this is happening. I'm going to be observing, okay, what's happening, what will be the developments. But people being pushed to corners, and the leaders being pushed to corners where they cannot comply, and sometimes even life or death. Am I supposed to look for housing in middle of war because my makler got verrückt? Okay? Am I supposed to keep paying rent? Where every time such things affect the person. For effect, and then you need more oils to calm yourself, okay? More fishes, more good food, more this was expensive. The food that balances the nervous system is very expensive. Okay? This is important. And what they're gonna put our leaders. We're gonna put our leaders in position where now, they've used the leader up to this point, and now, okay, and leaders gonna be prepared. They're astrologers, okay, they're gonna be prepared. But we are going to be observing very interesting conversations because we had strong conflicts. Heads of army, generals, okay, they're gonna have something to say. And they're gonna have something to say to these decentralized, hidden, globalist systems. Okay? So when you were thinking about, when will Mark Rutte face or a situation where he's standing up front against WHO, NATO, or WEF, one possible scenario was to watch what he'll do there, because he'll be in direct confrontation. Okay? His sun is in Aquarius on Deneb Algedi. But he's ruling, because he's opposite ascendant to me, he's ruling his 12th house. So his hidden enemies, but his hidden enemies are from those who like this WHO, okay? Because, and whoever funds them, because 12th house is jails, is hospitals, is exile. And the Pluto moving there, it means that those forces are going to try to overpower him, to put him in position, to push him into corner. Even if he's member in these organizations, okay? And that to him is 6th house. So I think it's more WHO because it's physical, something physical. Okay, because it's like hidden enemies, and the hidden enemies have to do with royalty. Royal families, royalty. But Mars is going to be in the 12th, and this is Sun below horizon. So it's not that terrible. So it's going to be a strong point. Okay, now it's really interesting to see what is going to be there. Like I said when I did Mark Rutte's chart, he's astrologer for sure. Okay. He can't spend all these years with this Pluto or Uranus without knowing some astrology, okay? So he knows this. And Pluto coming to his 6th, okay, from the 5th to the 6th. And you see what is the 5th is children. And the scandals around children for the 6th is around health. So it's going to be certain things around health, but his sun on Deneb Algedi. So this is, Sun is ruler of hidden enemies, but also where you balance your mental state, okay? So there is something, a balance of mental, physical state. And Mars is going to be in the 12th. So between the 12th, but here is not the internal struggle only, it is actual enemies at work. And this could be enemies, okay? Could be in 7th house. So it's difficult to tell that could affect any one-to-one, okay, any relation. So there is something to do with the physical and the mental health. But because Sun is Deneb Algedi, it can mean a couple of things. First of all, Sun is personality of a person. So the personality is okay with equity. Okay? Strangely enough for people. Okay? Because they think people are, this is that. Okay, but it's Sun of Deneb Algedi still. It's available resources for soul to this part of the personality to want equity. And can be that the hidden enemies are actually bringing equity. So it can be, it doesn't look like it's royal families, scientists. But with Sun, yes, maybe scientists or famous scientists that want equity. So the Sun can represent hidden enemies or not hidden enemies, okay? It's also hidden relations, but here is to do with health. And the conflict is coming from the 12th to the 6th, okay? Mars rules 8th house, so can be even people that fund him, in this case, can work many ways. And the 3rd house, something local, I don't know. Can be the lawsuit, but I don't know. Mars, in any case, is not malefic out of sect. Saturn is. So Pluto is more problematic because this Pluto is ruled by Saturn. So this Mars could actually work in his favor, or even if not in his favor, is not against him. And the ruler of Mars in his chart is on Deneb Algedi. Still, he can turn to Deneb Algedi to mitigate this. Okay, I'm not telling this to Mark Rutte, I'm telling this to you, my viewers, because this is example of how he worked with conflict. He doesn't need me for that, okay? These people are all astrologers. They have to. Okay, they have to work with good either astrology or something similar. And they have to do it themselves because it's not like they can trust the people around them, So, all the MKOs for people. There's also astrologers, very likely, So, so in this case, you turn to Deneb Algadin, you turn to Regulus. Okay? That would be appropriate. For we don't want to work with Saturn because that is malefic out of sect, or we're afraid or we're cautious. You can work with Saturn if it works for you, but one easier way is to reach the fixed star, to reach Deneb Algedi. Now let's go back to this Mars and talk about this Mars is applying, going on the back and forth, because Mars will go retrograde, okay? Going with the back and forth with the opposition to Pluto, from Cancer, from Leo, it's going to, with the back and forth with the trine to Neptune. So this you have the giant outlet. The direct confrontation is direct confrontation, okay? And you have the giant outlet, okay, for the emotional, the psychological, the psychic load. This is where you can sing, you can write stories, you can channel, you can do energy work, okay? You can do Neptune stuff. Okay, Neptune stuff, for some people is even psychedelics, but Neptune stuff is where we work with the reality in a more flexible way. We work with the dream, we work with the story, we work with the power of art, singing, okay, something that is a bit abstract, that allows for this fog to form and to create a liminal space. We can process this intense confrontation because it's going to be very intense. Everybody's going to have loads of feel, okay? And with Mars being in Cancer, you won't be able to escape the baggage. You're going to have to purge. We can't do it all direct to Pluto. Okay, you got to kill somebody. So you got to do a storytelling. You got to go the Neptune way. Okay, and when you do that, you have the excess baggage with the story, the art with Neptune, and then we get to the direct confrontation. It's a clear cut. Nobody can mess with you. And it's going to be intense, very intense action. It's not the type where, and some people will try to withhold action, withhold this, withhold that. Well, I would say everybody has their strategies, but I would say, okay, unless it's something that is coping mechanism, you don't find way out, I would say we don't want to consciously hold back the power, okay, because this is Pluto. So if you're any attempt to gaslight, to say, I don't want to hear about this, I don't want to hear about this, I only want to hear about this, I only want to hear about this, and not to state your case up front, okay, will lead to such explosion that people can undermine themselves, because Mars, Pluto can undermine themselves, can act from the unconscious. So keep it the unconscious with the stories, with the this, with the that, but take action. Okay? Pluto encourages authenticity and exposure. If you take a hard aspect Mars in Pluto and you take it to the hidden, the control, the psychological manipulation, the this, the that, you're going to find out one of the people you're trying to gaslight is having, like me, a 22 retrograde that's responsive. Okay? That's gonna bind you in your own 22. You don't want to go there. Okay? You're gonna get binded in your own binding if you do such thing. Okay? You don't want to go there. But the best is to go for authenticity. But also for who, if you play for the Mars person, it's best to leave out the place, okay? What would be, okay? Or set intention for solution that is actually, fair. Okay, because it's not about turning it over or humiliating every this or that. It's just about stating your case and not backing down, whatnot. And so if people did something that they were overpowering for another person, okay, both must be willing to come down from the tree without being people-pleasing. We cannot be people-pleasing after the Libra eclipse. Okay? Anything emotional you have to process around this, go Neptune ways. Okay? Story, creative art, something that has, this abstract thing. But definitely not throw the abstract thing, okay, as gaslighting tactic. This is something you really want to avoid, because Mars, hard aspect in Pluto, is coming to go into the deep of the deep of the deep of the deep of the deep. Any gaslighting, look, everything out. So we have to really face a true, authentic self and come down to a solution that's actually fair. Okay? And this is very important. If you're escaping, let's say, domestic violence, we will need to understand that you need safety housing for the other person also, just so that they can't harm you. Okay? It's not about, well, this person is, they're gonna be homeless, they're gonna be none of that. None of that. Mars had hard aspect in Pluto. You don't go overboard. Now, there might be tendencies, so you want to go with the Neptune. Okay? And this is basically is anything hardly scorpionic, even though it's not Scorpio, if you're hardly scorpionic, you don't want to think about the vengeance. You want to think, go underneath, what is the change who you want underneath the vengeance? Go for this change. What the change? Okay, for me, let's say I take the situation I talked about in the beginning of this. What the change I want to see underneath? Okay, underneath. There's not to get too vengeful, the this, the that, da. What's the change underneath? The change underneath, people stop using psychic attacks, stop trying to make people psychotic, stop trying to hoard housing, stop trying to hoard this. People to live good, independent of ability to work, if they need to recover, to heal from something, they're being believed. And let them be and let them grow. If they have business, if they have this, okay, let them be, let them grow. Okay, so I take actions. So say, okay, if you said to me like this, or ask me if I sleep with my mother because you were psychically attacked, then first of all, you're not psychotic. If you were psychically attacked, they were doing that in the war. And I believe you, and I will testify in court that 2 years you didn't do it, and then you did it. So I have reason to believe that you were psychically attacked. And even if you were psychotic, then treatment will be housing first, independent of your ability to work, and for indefinite time, and to believe you. So if you tell me I did not, something came into my psyche, okay, something that did mind control, I believe you. And to heal this, you need a basis. Just the same as when somebody recovers from what you did, this is recovery from such thing. Because you're scared for your housing, you don't know what the person will do. This real estate is going crazy. There is a war. Cities, biggest city, real estate cartel are all after this estate. Okay? Of course, it's fucking scary, right? You're just one person. So be fair. Okay? Think what is change? Not to go vengeance, change underneath the vengeance, underneath the disempowerment, underneath this, where you want to go with this and make action. Take action, if only in speech, if only in setting intention. All the gunk that you have, all the fears, the psyche, and all the things that make you feel this, okay? But there are stories, okay? So you can work to alchemy with these stories. This moves energy around, but you have to go for the authenticity for when it is fair. Pluto, Mars is that essence of design. What do I actually want? So all of your internal fears of success are coming up to the forefront, and it's a crisis of consciousness that you can put out in a movie, in a film, in a this, in a that, and let that creative flow be, and make this direct confrontation. Set the boundary straight, so that when Mars releases by the spring, okay, you are moving forward with the action you've taken. You're moving towards the trine. You're moving towards the closing trine of Mars and Pluto, which will be opposing Neptune. Because that's life, man. Okay? So, But that is what I have to say about this Mars. It's just building. It's going to take time. It's going to take a couple of months. This winter is a winter. Okay? Anybody that has sun above the horizon, above the ascendant, okay? Houses 7 after the ascendant, 2, 12th, okay? Or to even the 1st before the ascendant. Okay? If you go whole sign houses, anybody with sun in these locations must be extra cautious with this Mars. And what do you mean be extra cautious? If Mars is in Cancer, apply to Procyon. Apply to Andromeda, which Mars rules. Apply to Danabalgadi when Pluto is in Aquarius. Okay? Apply to Regulus when Mars is in Leo. These are fixed stars. Very likely you have good chance to work with these fixed stars correctly. You do the trial and error. But for most people, it's not a problem to take it a fixed star and do it in this way. Okay? So you have you can take action. With Mars, it's very important that you feel you have a choice. You have a place to take action. If you can barely take action, you can set intention. You don't have to do a whole ritual. It's working with outer planets. It's working with fixed stars as well. So that is something that can assist you. And also, if you have like accidents, okay? Had a parent kept getting these small bruises, even intense bruises in the fingers of the feet. I said, please, you have to align the structure of the fingers of your toes, okay? So Mars is keep doing that. It's like, hey, pay attention. But it's malefic out of sect, so it's less pleasant. It's fine. It's trying to communicate something with you, okay? You're supposed to grow with love, but if you haven't seen it, it's showing you, okay? So where you, if there is a bruise to do with Mars, you need to pay attention. Where is that bruise? There's something there, okay? Holistically. that wants to come out, that it needs to come out, okay? You're following your destiny. Are you, is it something you need to do to patch up, okay, with family or with this? It's something financial. All these things are Mars. So the way you treat the wounds, you find relevant, okay, what even smell from essential oils you have, okay, or herbs that you're drawn to. You can do it intuitively. What herbs you're drawn to when such and such hits, okay? It's an art. And you work with this herb and you try to see what is your association, what's coming up. That way you can begin to tend, okay, to these things. Okay? This is so. And Mars can bring accidents. That's the thing with Mars. Mars can bring violence. Mars can bring these bombings that we see, okay? Mars it can bring war, okay? So if you say, okay, will there be big war? But they can be financial crises as well. Real estate crisis, okay? It's for direct people pushed. But we do have the fixed stars to assist, okay, with this. The opposition happens once every 2.5 years. Mars, and we know that reoccurs every 2.5 years, but we don't have a world war every 2.5 years. So it's not the end of the world as we know it. Mars will be sextiling Uranus, which means that we're going to have rebel spirit. Okay? We're going to have rebel. And the more Mars is approaching Pluto, the more he trines and sextiles Uranus. So even if he releases, okay, by the time for the exact opposition, then this gives us, okay, of letting loose. Unexpected action, unexpected rebellion that diverts the attention from this opposition. Okay, now we know that a lot is planned, but with Uranus, can't account for. And I talk about it when I talk about the bisextile. Okay, of course, when I said it fast and clear, I want to give you how to capture the bisextile so that you can do your own reset. Work with honey, work with this, work with that. I had the crisis in my own house, and for the honey, it ripped on my phone. I bought honey, okay? It ripped on my phone. There was a Tseva Adom, okay, the siren on Azrieli. It was Azrieli. We went into the, for the, where you go to hide, okay, inside the building, and I put cream of Vinuranus, okay, of Beta Persei Uranus. I put it on my hands. I let some people have it. I said this experiment if you want to try and avoid World War. And yes, and I put it as, on the handles, door handles. I just put it, anointed on door handles, on this, on that. And I began to receive for the children in the cave. When I would go back, then I was talking with someone. She said, there's children in the caves. Not just, I don't know if they're very likely there too, but not just there. Okay, that the satanic ritual use children with the caves. And it's always going to be safest because, it's just strategically. And then, for this time, for Mars is applying today, there was another attempt that I was supposed to go there, but they said, no, it's Friday, too many people, too many soldiers on the train. I don't want to piss my parent off more than I did when I set boundaries to basically the market that harassed them, okay? I don't want to get over tense. I don't want to overload on my family. And I'm just going to stay here around, have a coffee and go back. Yes? So I didn't travel all the way out. There 5 people trying to bomb. They said they were going to bomb entire. You don't have, 5 people cannot bomb entire. It's almost like the trade centers, okay? It's a very high, it's 2 high buildings, it's not a tree, yes? So next to the Kiryao, okay, there's a center for army, which is another, I believe, underneath there, the caves. There's not just the cave for like security, but underneath this cave, very likely also satanic ritual abuse. And maybe commanders have no idea this taking place, okay? So at least some of them. But it's, you know, bingo, if we have to do bingo caves, this would be my go-to places for to check this out. Yes? Especially when a lot of infiltration of war strategy is human sacrifice, and we understand it would be infiltrated every army center around the world, including NATO, Brussels. It just happened. This is Mars-Uranus, okay? When we talk about Mars-Uranus, what it does that. It actually sudden breakthrough. I'm not here to say I stopped the bombing in Israeli. I don't know. I have no way to know. Okay? But I definitely addressed for the abuse and the kidnapping of children to city centers. It was Holon, Bat Yam, and the Kfar Chabad. Chabad is like a, you know, Zionist center for village. Okay, it's a religious village. I said, well, this is where, you know, in Holon and Bat Yam, I know for sure people disappeared, kidnapped by doctors, and they tried to contact the Facebook, then went off Facebook. So I talk about this with people. I say, of course it fell there. Get to Holon, get to Bat Yam, get to Kfar Chabad. That was the thing. But it's possible that energetically I released energy from underneath Israeli that gave chance for building to sustain, because they could maybe not take down the tower, but they could harm a lot of people. Talisman can do this. It's not by magic. It's because it puts you in a situation where you release the energy, okay, and you have timestamp for this energy inside for the cave, kind of like the caves of the buildings where you go when the missile strike. And so it's not impossible that these guys were stopped because the energy was released. And they couldn't ignore for these 5 people. Wouldn't make a big deal. And this allows us to talk about this, allows me to talk about that. And now I have a story to tell. Now, maybe coincidence. I don't know. But the intention was to avoid and mitigate a world war and to avoid anything causes world war, to release energy to cause, okay, for if it's satanic ritual abuse or whatever, to release, abolish these practices so people can live in fair and in peace. I don't know. Okay? But this is even when you plan, even if you plan something, you can't account for it just happened. I did not plan when I was in airport. I was watching I was sleeping there and doing my meditation. Then I watched, it was the war in Lebanon, right? Then it was the next day would be Iran. But the morning I watched and I made this episode and I'm like, oh my God, let's see, it's the first day for macro in NATO and so let's hear. And it reminds me of Model UN because, I don't know, I guess it's just like role reversals or something. And I was excited. So I was going to see like, what's going to be. And then I came back home and there was the Iran attack. Then I would go back there again because I meditate there. And I think he was speaking with the Finns or something like that. And I like Finland, I made this episode about Finland. And then I was like, in the evening, I was like, fuck it. I want to buy a meal. Fuck it. Because I wasn't supposed to stay there. I was already going back. Talisman disappeared. It was in my bag. You can hear, we can watch the episode. I was like, fuck it. So, anybody tried to complain, I said, I don't know, I watch Mark Ruth, I say, fuck it. Okay? This is the Mars-Uranus, the composite for this chart, of my chart, this chart, it has Mars-Uranus conjunction. Okay? It's a hard aspect. This is when you get, but I explode the deal. I did not expect this. And then as I would turn to my makler and so on, and then would sleep at my parents and so on, I think it was the moon. Yes, the moon was applying to oppose. It was opposing Uranus from Mars sign from Scorpio. I cannot make it up. Okay? It's energy. It's energy. Okay, it's that childish, fuck it, I'm gonna make revolution. Okay? And Mars is going to be sextiling Uranus. So we're gonna have a lot of fuck it, I'm gonna make revolution. So it's a lot of enlightenment and a lot of things we can't account for. So, like I said with the bisextile, and you know what, my honey was spilling on my phone. The honey I bought was spilling on my phone in my bag, and I had this bag. It was just golden bag. It's a plastic bag, okay? And I was like, and it's kind of like my guidance, the spirits around me. Everybody was like, well, you have a bag. Why you use this? And I had no power to change for this to change it down. The honey spilled. I had to throw that bag. Now I'm with a good bag. I found this bag. I actually found this bag in the street next to garbage. It looks amazing. It looks like you just bought them. Fantastic bag. So the honey was like, hey, come on, switch the bag. Okay? And for the cell phone, okay, for sweetening perhaps the conflicts, that was anybody from my makler got it this, from Woody now got it this, got it that. That's after the sweetener. Okay? We called on Procyon, we called on Andromeda, we called on Spica. That's the sweetening of the conflict that you receive, okay? I said what I said. So, but you see, for that I said, buy honey. I was going to buy honey, and then that happened. Why? To capture the bisextile. That I cannot make this up, okay? These sets of coincidences are at the very least funny. So even when I come to capture the bisextile, suddenly, yeah, I got the honey. But now what about the apartment? What about this? There, I don't feel safe to sleep there alone. I don't see that, and so on. So like, but hey, but I like the house. What the, you know? It's not about leaving the house. It's about changing the situation. For the entire city, it's not going to be satanic ritual abuse city. No, we're going to grow bay tree leaves, bay trees, bay leaf trees, whatever. Forest. Gonna be a flourishing city, not a ghetto. Okay? Reset. Not a human trafficking city, not a satanic ritual abuse city. You know, but like Mark Rutte, he lives alone. I don't know right now, because you need to be in Netherlands to see the movie. He lives alone. He said the last taboo in Netherlands is for the person to live alone. I say, I like this. Every person must have house. That city, reset. Okay, so this is how for the bisextile, even when you set intention with Uranus, is just happening. Releases what it was not necessary, you let it go. Is assisting you with the authenticity, because you're just gonna say fuck it. Okay, everybody's gonna say, I have to set the boundary at this, at that, all the old ways of gaslighting, everybody, including the leaders. Well, the leaders and they say, fuck it. We're not doing this shit anymore. We're gonna do it differently, I guess. That's what they're scared of, because Uranus is in the crowd. Uranus is in the house. They say, oh, we're gonna build a revolution. We're gonna build a this for the triangles, for the this, for the that. Is Uranus. Even the people that planned this feel like, fuck it, I'm going to do something else, because that's Uranus. Uranus, you set intention, you let go. And I told you when was, for the issue that I talked about, what happened, I made Uranus Beta Persei talisman, okay? With lot of fortune in, then Uranus went retrograde on the same point, lot of fortune strikes, and BAM! I didn't see it coming, okay? I didn't see it coming. That was that. So this one First topic. Next topic, Jupiter. We are at 1 hour. Just exactly 1 hour. Okay, so 1 hour. You can mark in the comments. Um, Jupiter going retrograde, and let's do another chart for this topic. And I'm gonna do a pause. I'm gonna do a pause. I'm gonna give myself to the bedroom, and then I'm gonna return. Okay, and we're back. Mama, I'm recording. Recording. So, now we got a 15 degree for the next topic. 9 degrees ascendant, midheaven. Ruler of midheaven is in the 12th house. We're talking Jupiter, which rules it and is in the 3rd house. This is Mercury hour. And Mercury is ruler of Jupiter right now. Mars in Cancer. Ooh, a lot of fortune on Sirius. So let's go on Sirius. It's my moon. Let's call on Sirius. Let's call on Andromeda, to Sirius, to funnel out. Okay? To give us good direction. And Mercury next to Spica in the 7th house. So let's call on Spica. Venus applying to oppose Uranus. Now let's talk about Jupiter retrograde. Jupiter retrograde. So Jupiter going backward just before it hits 22 degrees. And I'm so grateful to Jupiter. I want to first of all welcome Zeus and say thank you, Zeus. Thank you for not doing the back and forth on the 22nd degree. Okay? Because Jupiter rules my ascendant. Okay? And yeah. That's calming. And it's Mercury hour. So what will the Jupiter retrograde? First of all, Jupiter turns retrograde right as it sextiles Chiron. It's also retrograde. This means we are getting a curation to our worldview, to our sense of optimism, especially around children, by the way. And to a sense of expansion, whatever wounds we had around being optimistic, expansive, having a worldview, having faith in life, because this is also for our faith, whether religion, spirituality, and so on. I want to tell you a little story that happened to me upon this Jupiter turning retrograde. I watched a song that I really, really like, and the words of the song had to do with Jesus. It's not about Jesus, it's just about, living a good life and so on. And it's about having your own house and country and so on. So it was like, go and find Jesus on your own. And it was just a side note. And somebody was saying, did I just hear you said, go and find Jesus? And I said, well, in Jesus' name, I accept this interpretation. Okay? So this reminded me of a time when I was traveling to Netherlands, traveling, escaping, but Jupiter would say travel and forget about all the I'm going to die every day experience, because that's Jupiter, okay? When you hear Jupiterian people tell stories, especially about the past, and it sounds like this glorious time, okay? You don't hear the Saturn within. Are they going to give you a sound? Yes, every day I thought I was going to die. But the sights I see, and the dogs, and the this, and the countryside, and so it's like, it's this side note. And it's like, it's not necessarily as you paint it to be. It's not because they're liars. It's because they focus on the benefit. They focus on the benefic, okay? To increase the benefic, okay? Might be tortured all day through, but they focus on the benefic. This is Jupiter. And for that little story, it's kind of reminded me of the energy of Jupiter. Okay? And Jupiter Mercury is exactly that. Did he say fry Jesus? And you say in Jesus' name, I accept this. Because and when you say this, the energy suddenly shifts to sensing the energy, okay, for fuck the Inquisition. Okay? Talking about Jesus. This optimistic energy of love and kindness and forgiveness, unless you go to the Middle Ages where they painted him with a sword, and so a knight with a sword that curses the fig trees. It's in the Bible, he cursed the fig trees. They don't have a lot of views on Jesus, but Jupiter connects us with that faith in something divine, optimistic, expansive, and and in a roundabout way, we get that spark of life again. Okay? Now, Jupiter, Zeus, going retrograde is also the lightning strike. This is the god of thunder, the Eureka. Okay, it's not Uranus, but it's also kind of the lightning strike of justice. It's not justice, it's the lightning strike of justice. Okay, this is where I tell my makler, well, if you are psychotic, then know that you're not imagining they were attacking people. It could be, yes, but you need a housing first, and not independent of ability to work, independent for indefinite time, and to be believed. Okay, so in a very optimistic, roundabout way, I negated anything psychotic, any psychic attack coming from there. And this is Jupiter Mercury. Jupiter Mercury. You want to think about all these country songs. And Jupiter, you know, Mercury rules cars. You want to think about all these country songs where you have, like, what's that song by Alan Jackson? Okay, we goes here with this guitar, goes to the mechanic, and the mechanic says, well, it's gonna cost you so and so and so and so, this $800. Okay, and then he asked him about the guitar. He says, well, the mechanic says, I got a problem with my guitar. And Alan Jackson said, well, you know, this is a little rugged, this is gonna cost you, well, $900. And this is the conversations we might have with Jupiter Mercury. Okay, somebody tried to F you over at the roundabout, turns out bad. Okay, now you want to think about Jupiter, who tried to fuck over who. You want to think about Jupiter direct. What happened Jupiter direct? What happened Jupiter direct? What happened this year? Okay, what were you thinking about when you're thinking about, yes, a Jupiter direct? What was happening there? Okay. Maybe somebody tried to infiltrate your energy. Then what did you do? Okay. So you responded. They thought they're gonna gaslight you, right? Then Jupiter goes retrograde. Well, if you did that because you were psychotic, then you need a housing first, and you need to be believed. Okay? That's the move, Jupiter retrograde direct. That's the move. And you don't even have to feel, when you tap into truth, you don't even have to watch the chart to feel it. It's like, hey, something was turned around. Something turned around with the energy. Oh, Jupiter went retrograde. You go around the topic again. Well, now it's like this. And think about what were the themes of Jupiter. You want to think about your Gemini house. So for me, it's the 4th house. What were the themes of the 4th house? Okay? So think about even the grave. Even, well, I have... and Jupiter Gemini is big jokes, okay? And Jupiter Gemini is kind of like a mini Uranus, because Jupiter is the grand and Mercury is a mishap. So there's a grand mishap, okay? Something flipped over. Mercury is a trickster, and that could be humorous. You can find yourself losing your fuse, and then something funny happens. Okay? That's exactly the humor. But the humor around this is also, with Jupiter, there is grace. You can turn it around. There is grace. So Jupiter brings in the grace as well. But it's also bringing you the lightning strike. What you really thought you're gonna gaslight, okay, you tin it. What they have to do, it's in the middle of the war. And you're just going to infiltrate for the energy so that you cannot talk about it to the psychotic. Jupiter flips it around. He flips the script around. Just when you thought you got it, boom. And it's not always intentional because there's the sudden move. Mercury is also like that. It flips the script. And Jupiter retrograde, it flips the script on the whole thing. Okay? And there is cunningness to do with that. Now Jupiter, okay, is again, it's your worldview. It's your beliefs. Think about people who are persecuted for their beliefs, because Jupiter just released a square with Uranus. What about people being persecuted for their beliefs? Or people having orthodox beliefs limiting the growth of Jupiter, because Saturn here. Okay, and it can work in various ways. Now we're going to go over that one again. Okay. Was blocking your wealth, satanic ritual abusing children. Where they are in the caves, because Saturn rules over Pluto. Maybe even underneath oceans or ships or something like that, okay? So, Saturn's going to play into that, okay? What happened with me was working on what teeth? Releasing blockage. What happened? All the names. Things I completely forgot. And then I get this surge of rage because the essential oil is purging you. And then boom, 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 boom. Okay, everything, all the energy blockages, okay, everything comes out. Put my money where my mouth is, okay? So this is exactly going to go over this point. And Jupiter is going to square Saturn again. So it's going to be a crisis of belief, crisis of optimism, crisis of belief that you face again. Okay, now Jupiter is usually optimistic and expansive, but it's a spark of truth. It's a eureka. So Jupiter is going to tell you the truth in the face. Okay, and what's restricting your body, okay? For example, in my eureka when Jupiter was direct was okay. I found it so difficult to brush my teeth, for this, for that. I was like, what's going on? Well, what do I have caught up in my teeth holistically? In the jaw, in the teeth, okay? Wisdom teeth, traumas for entire lifetime. All must come out. And then, suddenly, make this move. I had ability to eat the food good for me. All of these things, okay, they kept you from speaking, because a lot of the hurt was what? Something you cannot speak about, not because of shame, because nobody would believe you. Now Jupiter is going to go back on this point. That's another crisis. It's going to be a deeper eureka. And Saturn is going to go direct, okay? So Saturn's going to go over on this point, and Jupiter. So we're going to be revisiting this crisis. It's another eureka, maybe something we haven't seen about it yet, okay? This is because Saturn is like, you got to do this, you got to be dedicated, you got to be this, you got to be that. And Jupiter, well, what about my nervous system? Well, I've been to kidnapping attempted hospital when I was a child. Ooh. And I said for the name of the hospital, the name of my grandmama, the name of the person who saved me from this, so that can be looked into now. The doctor itself very likely dead, but if there's a cave underneath this hospital, Sheba Hospital, then very likely we still have children there. I was a helpless young child. My mother didn't remember. This is karma. This is Neptune karma, okay? Of course it affects of whether I can brush my teeth every day and face that every day. Of course it leaves some parts because something seems blocking, seems blocking. Why? You need to be ready for this, because what has to be released from your jaw, from your teeth, from your gums has been blocking your karma. A child, what a child can do, okay? They feel ashamed because people say, why you go, why you walk, why you this? And today I was thinking, the children, if I was thinking about the child that disappeared, that was kidnapped, okay? And she was not a child that goes anywhere without the parents. But I was thinking the children that run around, yet they can get into troubles, but they can also get out of troubles, have more chances to get out of troubles. Why? Because this is a child that will walk around. It doesn't do what it's told. So it's going to try this. If you always go with your parent, then God forbid somebody manages to snatch you, you don't know where to go. You don't talk to people because they told you don't talk to strangers. And you don't know where to go. And I remember at the train, I saw a girl was with the father because there were missiles in the north, so they were driving south. And the one missile, small, very fractions, like not even like a bullet, was hitting his car. It broke everything, so he had no car, so he went on the train. And he was driver, of a bus driver. The child, going with the father, all around the train, going right here, right there, going with this, talking with this, talking with that. And he makes a scenario with her. What if she loses him? What does she do? He said, I will ask for help. I will ask for this. I will ask for that. And then I was thinking about this child. I'm like, oh my God, she has better chances because she doesn't go just around the father. Okay? She can walk around. She can ask people. She can this, she can that. She interacts. So she, as nervous system moves around. So everything we teach our children, don't stay with your parents. Don't talk to strangers. Don't this, or don't that. Okay? Whereas if we teach them to be listening to their bodies, the yes, the no. Say yes, I don't know. Somebody tries to put you this something you don't like, tell them fuck it. Like, and if you're a good parent, your child tells you, oh fuck it, daddy, I don't want. Fuck mommy, I don't want that. So say like to me, you say fuck it, I don't want that. Don't be afraid to say to them. And if you raise your child like this, that even around people that they're like, oh, it's embarrassing, it's etiquette, it's like this is what the child wants, this is what they don't want. Then this is an unequitable child. I'm not saying nothing can happen. But I'm saying that child has way better chances to survive. Look, I'm just talking about my teeth. That child got better chances to survive where the child is going for only with his family, never walk anywhere alone. All the things we've been teaching children. Okay? This is how Heimnut got kidnapped, and she wouldn't go anywhere without the parents. She went to the center of where the children are, and then underneath this cave, very likely, got kidnapped. Safat city. Because even if she would try to get out, she doesn't know what to do. And she told not to talk with anybody she doesn't know, so you freeze. But how do you defreeze? You walk around, you walk here, you walk there, you this, you see, okay? And also, child has to have confidence to speak back to his parents. If you see the father that I saw with that child walking all the train, she spoke back to her father all the time. It's not about being rude, okay? It's about the liberty to express oneself, okay? And what we've been teaching, child should be respectful of the parents. But in those families, so much incest. So much incest in those families. Because nobody talks about everything. And until it explodes. Child cannot talk back to parents because parental authority, parents don't know anything. Parents don't know everything. Child doesn't know everything. There's no conversation. Then it's easy to control the child. Okay, you must sit here, you must do this, you must do that, you must do that. But it's bad karma for the parent and for the child. Okay, think about Finland. If you go with the baby, okay, You leave with the baby, go to grocery store, the baby sleeps in the snow. You're not stressed, so the child is just not stressed either. You just went something to take something from the store, you come back, you leave the child like this, and what does the child have to be next to you all the time? And it's not a problem, you're not afraid the pedo ring will kidnap the child, which was up until now, and nobody's gonna tell you what bad parent you are, okay? That's something for us to consider, this way of life. And if we don't travel, even if in our minds or in our YouTube shorts even, then we don't see it. We're not exposed to different cultures. Even I had, when I'm recovering, another thing I had was working with Annuncia, third lunar mansion. And I was sitting in the train. In front of me, a woman psychiatrist. Her job is to decide who gets welfare assistance, who doesn't. Okay? I kid you not. And she wearing all green, Venus or Mercury, it was Mercury day actually. And she says, this is nice smell. I said, this is for to make a wish. I say, oh, give me. Then she asked me, well, do you make like appointments or healing? I said, well, I cannot market myself as doctor because such and such and such and such. But I must say, okay, you want to talk to me, you can talk to me. You just make sure I'm not, I'm not doctor. And she wanted to talk to me. And we thought about the appointment. She said, I don't want to bother you. She was very gracious. I said, I don't want to bother you. When are you available to talk? I said, because, okay, I'm looking at many countries, I'm thinking about Finland. And there was this teaching about Finland. In Finland, for you make appointment, you first, before you make a call, you make a text. Then you make a text, can I call? Then person says, yes, they can call. I said, let's do like the Finns. You write me whenever you are able to. If I'm able to meet you, then I call you. If not, I can write you text, we'll call later. So this is allowing me to be more flexible with the time according to my recovery from being in a situation where you have to be on time, you have to be this, you have to be that. In that, I'm not like the Finns, okay? But in terms of communication, it was difficult for me sometimes to answer and so on and so forth, because I'm myself recovering, or because I'm a human being, okay? Then I found solution. Where did I find solution? From traveling. This is also Jupiter Gemini. And look at the closure. Not psychiatrists. Psychiatrists who decide who will get income from welfare. Wants to contact me for astrological talisman with essential oils for to make a wish. For her and for daughter. And she loves it. She likes the smell. She loves these things. Okay? When I was learning aromatherapy, you may have some of my older videos, one of the people in the second class was a psychiatrist. And who treats people who went through sexual abuse or sexual boundary violation. It was conversation because we had to treat each other, I was treating him. And with the oil that I gave him to treat, I made one for myself, and with that I would later travel to Netherlands. I kid you not. I cannot make it up. Okay, Pluto is Plutoing, and Neptune is Neptuning. So, what is Jupiter in this mix doing? It's going to square Saturn again. Right now it's beginning for the sextile with Chiron. It's healing a deep wound around the sense of self. And now it's going to go back. There's going to be another square with Saturn. The square with Saturn is like an ouchie. Okay, it's not an easy aspect. But Saturn and Jupiter are of the same team. Okay, Mercury, if it's like me, if your night chart is not your team, then you can use a Mercury, which is cunningness, it's humor. And you're going to have a deeper eureka. Deeper teaching, deeper teaching, deeper teaching. So it's also for our mindset, okay? If I can think about what happened when I was, oh my God, I was looking at actually Ruth's chart. I was going later to the city center where I am, and there were children playing. And Then I saw one child, and I saw the child, someone was with the child, and I saw him alone. And in my mind, I have the faculties of thought, okay? The Israeli, where are the parents? And then the Finns. And I was like, how do we bridge for this, making sure for this child that not somebody kidnaps this child because they're not in Finland, and allowing place for like, hey, everything okay. So I just made sure that I follow with my eyes the child until he went to the parents, and they were sitting in the cafe. And I was like, okay, they're the parents, they're watching him, they're looking at him. But in my mind, the psyche was this, for this Israeli, in any case, a pedo can kidnap this child and trade his organs. And the Finns, what do you want? Okay, it's like we want to move forward to the Finns, but without having child kidnapped and traded and raped and tortured and murdered, on the way. So, so that was the bridge, and that was, it's just funny because I was looking at the child of person who was basically survivor of satanic ritual abuse and had to perpetrate it to survive, and had a scandal around children that are kidnapped by welfare because people did not have money. Okay, they were receiving money, they were tricked. Okay, they were receiving money, not fill out forms, Saturn, welfare takes the kids. So people committed suicide. Now, is one person, okay, it's entire parliament. And that was in COVID. He only finished his job as prime minister a couple months ago, I think June, July, okay, so no impeachment, nada. Okay? Now you want to blame one person? Come on. And also, how about the fact, what was the problem? The problem was that the children were kidnapped by the welfare because parents did not have money. Okay? How about we change that all across the board? Now you're going to have to ask very likely for Wilders to do it. I kid you not, that was my Jupiter-Saturn square. And sitting at the town hall, and there was this water fountain. And children running in the water fountain. That was like, this one child, this was looking like, I don't know, Russian or something like that. And just running. I was like, where are the parents? They got scared that they won't get kidnapped. That was the thing, okay? And then there was another day where there was like a party. They threw a party, and also for the children. And it was like just standing there, and children playing soccer and so on. It was like, oh damn. They usually don't have this much happy days in our little town. So those were like children events. And you see for how the square, it's like the traditional Saturn and the optimistic Jupiter, and the bridging between the two. Because if you do Finland and Israel, child might get kidnapped, okay, might get traded, like that's not, or in Amsterdam or so. So this is also for culture. You have to know for the culture that you're, it's not culture, but for where do you travel. What more can this Jupiter-Saturn bring? As the release, as Jupiter will go direct and go over it again, the release from the struggle. There's a conflict, you think through and through, you find the bridge, but there's a crisis, okay? There's a crisis through which you find the bridging way out of the crisis. So Jupiter will be moving towards the trine with Saturn. It will trine Saturn when it will be in mid-Cancer, okay? And so all the things you can think about, okay? Traditional versus non-traditional ways to raise children. Cold countries, Saturn. Cold countries, refugees, homeless people, religion, faith in life, flexibility, rigidness around beliefs, and so on. Issues also of sperm count. Okay, I had the deeper eureka of how sperm count is affected by satanic ritual abuse across generations. Okay, and how this affects optimism and so on. So this is another thing where a person's not at all to blame for what happened to them, but it's in the lineage, and that can be, now that we think about it, can also be root for litigation. So that is one more, okay, conflict. Anything where you have the faith versus the fear, okay? Fearful, faithful, fearful, faithful. You can run into a little bit extremes between them. It's not because you're crazy, it's because they are in a square aspect. And then you release from the square, okay? You're going to release from that tension and build up to something that will become an agreement to only then move towards the opposition, okay? It's dynamic balance. And for last topic, which is Venus opposing Uranus. I believe I will have more on this tomorrow, but let's do a little restart for the planetary sky. And we have 17 degrees midheaven, still Saturn in the 12th house. It is moon hour, with the moon in Saturn sign applying to oppose Mars, and ascendant 27 degrees, conjuncting Aries in Aries, so on Andromeda for this topic of conversation, Sirius Procyon, okay, and of course Beta Persei. And this is a conversation for when will Venus oppose Uranus, which is in the coming weekend, okay? So the Venus-Uranus oppositions, also synodic cycle, okay? Just like the Mars and Pluto and the Jupiter-Saturn. She is in fall, in detriment, yes? No, in detriment in Scorpio. Venus is about connection, Scorpio is about transformation and separation, because Mars is separation and Venus is connecting. But it's not like Mars and Venus do not connect, okay? We get that. And so she's in the 8th house now. That can bring us a little bit of a real estate banking crisis, currency crisis, digital currency crisis. There's something unusual happening on the connection between all of those. And there is something very rebellious, their desire to break free from certain constraints that can be both digital constraint, but also where something is not digital. For example, if you think, on the one hand, we have where everything is digital, which is one constraint that Uranus can liberate us from. Okay, to have both cash and digital. On another hand, you think, oh, why do I have to fill out all these forms? Why can't I just do it on a computer? Okay, so we're gonna have something along the line of something to be liberated, where, hey, you can fill out this form. Okay, for example, if I want to renew a Dutch passport, I can fill out form and pay way too much money. Okay, and I can collect my passport. Okay, I just have to fill out form digitally. I don't have to set appointment. Where in the past you couldn't. You have to make afspraak, you have to make appointment, and only then to file for things, and then you get your passport. Okay, so you think about the digitation, how something can be comfortable, but digitation can also be not liberating. Okay, where you don't have access to this or you don't have access to that. Can also be access for banking itself, access for digital currency. And Venus in Scorpio, she has to fight. Okay, so Venus in Scorpio, first of all, is great for when you have to fight for something. When women have to fight, Venus in Mars sign can bring it. Okay, because Venus is about connection. Venus Libra wants to please people and come to common ground. Venus Taurus, she will sort her way to pleasure around this. I'm not talking about like sex work or anything like that, not at all. On the other way around even. when I think about the fact that I ordered Blue Lotus for beginning to work on my notes for Essence of Desire, okay? And then I had things coming up like with drug cartels, with this, with the background, with this, okay? The things that inspired this, I'm not going to elaborate. And I had like energies like really weird around that. Usually I get good energies that were really weird. Like I had to liberate myself even from the energies that inspired Essence of Desire. And then I realized that everything that blocks Essence of Desire is coming up to the forefront to be addressed. And of course, it's unpleasant for people because it shakes them from the core, okay? And change from the core. And that's where it's evolving, okay? And so after the whole breakthrough, breakdown, break crisis, I don't know, with my makler, which pissed off some people that have real estate cartels, okay? And it could cause a regression, whether in the sky or outside. Then I got back to visit for the flat, the apartment, and my Blue Lotus oil was there. And it was, the number on the package was 17. It's the number of Lilith. I kid you not. I kid you not. This was a little eclipse that we're talking about, okay? So I ordered this Blue Lotus with the things that I ordered. And by the way, all of them had to do with either my teeth or my womb. Okay? Then I come back and this is a Lilith thing. So I set boundaries even with the people and the spirits that inspired Essence of Desire, because like everything that's blocking Essence of Desire must go out. All MK Ultra out. Okay? So, but it's also for everyone is better. But you think that this is easy process? This is what Venus Taurus tries to do. Okay, let's just self-pleasure around this. Let's just tantric around this, okay? Let's make it pleasurable. Let's go back to our senses. Well, everything that's blocking you, staining your senses, or having a good orgasm for that sake, is gonna come out. And this is fucking everything, you know? And then Blue Lotus comes in. It is 17, the number of Lilith. Okay? Everything blocks in your pleasure centers. So Venus in Libra, she tries to please everybody until she says, fuck it. I know it was not that fuck it, okay? It was not the Mars Uranus fuck it, okay? With 2 Scorpio Mars, fuck it, okay? But even the last decan of Libra is called extremism, Austin Kopok, the credit, for reason. Because this is where, but the middle phase is where you get karma, the teeter-tatter, the balancing of the scale. Okay, what you didn't manage to balance the scale goes to the 3rd decan of Libra, which is extreme action. Now, who's got Mars there? Geert Wilders. And I said to myself, when this person became leader, prominent leader, is because the country couldn't balance things with the middle phase of Libra. Then the leader became someone who would make extreme action. That's just the way things operate. This is all the eurekas that you have around this thing. So Venus in Libra sign, she just tries to balance the scales. Venus in Taurus sign, she's like, okay, well, let's just, why not just, make love and not go to war. And then it's like, okay, well, there's a little energy block here. Okay, let's just breathe into that, give pleasure to the place, and kaboom, I tell to the son of the makler, well, if a woman cannot live alone in city, it means all the families in the cities, all the sex that people have, all the children are coming from rape. After I told them, your father asked me if I sleep with my mom. Okay? Release the energy block. Now we can go back to Venus. No, but when Venus is in Mars sign, this is where the transformation happens. Okay, if it's Scorpionic Mars, she goes into the deep. She will go through this transformation and will bring in a completely new and revived self. You're not going to do that to me. You're not going to behave that to me, or you're not going to be around me. Everything must go. Everything is not in alignment with that. This is where Venus is doing the Mars job. It's like, and Venus understands the lesson that in order to connect, I must disconnect with everything that I cannot connect with on a sustainable manner. So there can be crisis around this. Venus, Uranus, hard aspects is where we can say goodbye. Thank you for all you've been contributing. From now on, if you can't change this behavior, and I cannot tolerate this behavior, then we must go separate ways. So that is the power. Here's a sudden breakup. And with Scorpio, if you think about Aries, Aries just says, Aries could have meet you one day, say, I'm head over heels in love. Then the next day, they're like, okay, well, I was too quick with that judgment. Okay, then bye. Okay, they weren't using you. They weren't fucking around. Okay, they're not necessarily. Okay, they're usually very direct unless there's something else affecting this. But they were like, oh my God, yes, the love of my life. Then the next day, they're like, no, actually not. Bye. Okay. Sometimes it's about Aries staying the third day and remembering of what was in the first day. But sometimes Aries would be correct. Okay? Cut. Next. And no hard feelings. But in Scorpio, Venus is going to go through all this. But really, what do I have to? She goes into the depth of deep. There is a crisis point and there's a separation. That's it. Transformed. So this is just Venus Scorpio. Venus Scorpio opposing Uranus is going to be sudden. It's going to be shocking for everyone involved because they didn't believe. And you have to understand with Venus and Scorpio, everyone didn't believe that that's what's going to happen. Everybody involved. Okay, you could think that this is surprise tactics of somebody playing. If there's nobody playing anything on you, everybody just going into the liberating from the own coping mechanism, and it's sudden. So sudden market volatility, sudden real estate bubble pop. Any real estate bubble that we keep having right now with this Venus, and it's kind of like a yearly transit, bubble pop. Especially with Mars applying to Pluto. Okay? It's not giving you this grand inflated thing as you would have with Jupiter or something like that. Or Jupiter Saturn. Okay, so we have a bubble pop. And this bubble pop can be about how you feel about a relation. Your relational patterns, your love language, the people you connect to, your values, what you value can change. Okay, one eureka I had about my own housing, now that Venus is inches from my Mars, that was, I remembered where it was one day, there's another one of these wars, that I had a very responsible roommate. She forgot the house unlocked. Usually she would call me, you leave the house unlocked with the key inside the keyhole from outside in a crime neighborhood, and you just run off. And I forgot. I was completely dissociated, okay? Then one day she does that. For an entire couple of months, I could not go back to sleep there, so I was sleeping at friends. I have no idea today. Nothing happened. Okay, I asked her. Nothing happened. Okay, nothing. I could not go. I could go in the morning, but not late to the apartment. Something, and I don't know. Until today, I don't know what it is. And then I was thinking to myself, well, housing, and I have this Chiron yacht with Pluto and Neptune in my fourth house. It's like, oh, but it was like, hey, housing is something more than the physical. There's something more than what I can explain. There's just something more to the equation. It's a sudden shock, a sudden change. So this is also going to bring that, okay, sudden eureka, sudden memory, sudden value changes, a sudden change for like aesthetics, okay, of what you appreciate. Another thing I remembered, and maybe it's the Jupiter as well, was that I talked about it in 2007 when I had a crisis. Then I began to see on people's faces many things. Today I also had like it's almost intrusive thought, because you see it's literally in your face of when person has gone through, you know, something like sexual abuse or something like that. And Jaguar Wright talks about this. Now I'm not saying it's like reading everybody's, it's not diagnostic. It's just like you see that and like, oh my God, I can see that on somebody's face. I can see that here. I can see that. My parent has this. And I forgot, okay? I forgot about this. Then it came today again. So it can be even something like that. There's a sudden eureka around something. And here, it's a crisis of liberation. It's a crisis of liberation. So this happening this weekend, and you know, Venus is not going to go retrograde on that, so she's going to move to Sagittarius, and that's it. You want to think, what have we been doing? Because I remember when I had the Venus with Jupiter captured in a talisman. Okay? And perhaps in the conjunction, you're trying to liberate yourself in one way. Now with the Venus opposition is another way. For example, I talk about housing first, housing this, housing that. Sometimes it's energies, you can come to house and sound like you have a scare. And it's not necessarily like what happened with my makler. If I go back for that area as a memory, it reminds me that, hey, there's something more to this equation that I don't know how to tend to. I can tend to housing, to having a house. I can tend to be free from financial violence. Okay, I can tend to this, I can tend to that. But sometimes like something shifts around the energy, like you are meant to be someplace else. But where? Okay? And when you're meant to be someplace else, you're going to be someplace else. When I was going for the Netherlands, I was sleeping at airport. I thought I'm just arriving because I wasn't there since I was 12. And I slept the night. I was homeless, okay? And then in the morning, I bought the ticket, I bought the emergency passport, and I flew to the Netherlands, okay? And I'm not saying such thing, but sudden, there was no answer for being in my situation, which is everyday situation, okay? So some doggy sitter got canceled, they got left in the street, shelter was crazy, everybody crazy, nobody gets help. I understand if I stay there, and I don't understand because I thought literally pooing my pants and ran off. State of Israel, mind you, not Gaza, not Lebanon, not Syria, not Iran, not Iraq, not even Jordan, not Egypt, Israel. All my crime was for that I walked out of violence during COVID. And I don't even blame for the other person because it was freaking COVID. But the student apartment is not fit for two people in lockdowns. It's not fit. Both had to grow. And also, well, now I know, so this MK Ultras, you know, psychologists attacking him, blah, 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 blah. Could be also that he has his issues, but he was taking the full responsibility, saying, I have my issue. He didn't know. He felt he's exploited, didn't know. So I'm not even judging. but I had to save myself. So many things like this happen. You don't have solution for this, Israel. Okay? Netherlands with winter shelters. Also problem because they ran to attempt to recruit me to human trafficking. Of course, I spoke up. At first, I thought that because of that, they didn't help me and really wanted to move out. But apparently, it's just because I'm Dutch. All other people, they got help with housing, and I'm happy for them. And they call me to say, are you okay? Are you okay? Because I whistleblowed on this, I say, I'm afraid to talk information. I don't know who's connected to who. So I said, I'm okay. I cannot tell you, but I'm okay. And I see all of them got houses, which is very good. But for me, they sent me to immigration. I thought they were laughing at me. They were not laughing. They're trying to help me. because if I come with my Dutch passport, I can wait for like a millennia. And I know this is why I wasn't housed. And by the way, for the Netherlands, where it was a makler, I was 12 years old, traveling with my mama. We thought, okay, for maybe where to live here, to live there. Where is safe for woman and child alone, okay? Back then, I was living with my mama, okay? Then the makler offers me whiskey. The real estate agent, for those of you who are not Dutch speakers, offers me whiskey. Okay? For me, for the child. Yes? But so how could I stay in Netherlands to be housed? Then if people ask, why don't you speak Dutch? I spent for my money 2 semesters. Usually people, when they have a simulation, they get this for free. I spent for my money 2 semesters in the Royal Dutch School in Israel, studied Dutch, and I felt I know the language. I still don't, it's not even, I don't think it's even for this life, because I grew up with my mom. Yeah, she taught me some Dutch, but okay. I don't understand why I know the language. I don't understand why. Yeah, but to speak the language is difficult. Because you need to practice this. We have all these emotions, of course it's difficult. Of course we couldn't stay in Netherlands for the many years to receive for housing. So just safe. Or to assimilate or anything like that. Maybe for better, maybe not. I don't know. Sometimes it's a good thing, bad thing, who knows? Because I would have ruler of 4th house in the 11th, 22nd degree. I don't know. Okay, this is a degree of murder. So, house known or owner of house known for. So this actually could be good if somebody got murdered in place before and then turned to a safety house or something like that. Then perhaps this could go, the energy could go there, or the other way around. I don't know. Okay. But for Israel, the ruler of the ruler in the 9th house is problems with the 22. And indeed, for religious conflict can be murder. Murder for religion called. And I have to defend for my beliefs because the city is getting orthodox, but with satanic ritual abuse. And I cannot say that I didn't get, and you saw the episode where I was saying I was walking, it was a Friday. And I said, well, I was walking and it was kind of like an energy was showing me, hey, look at this pyramid, it's the synagogue. Look for all these Jews, for all these, like the Jews are coming. I was like, yeah, you gotta go. You gotta run away from this city. But I was like, fuck it, where to? So here you have satanic ritual abuse. Here you have sex trafficking cartels. All real estate cartels. Where would you go? To Hitler? No, really, where would you go? But this is also the Venus here. She's in my 9th house. This is also where you could have a sudden eureka, sudden breakout. And this is also eureka you're going to have. It could be around the job, around relationship. Sudden. And some people can even see it, can sense it. I know people around me. It's not people around me. And they're telling me, can't you see? Can't you see? I was like, no, I cannot see. Because from where I am, I cannot see. Okay? From where I am, I cannot see. I can see I'm exhausted. Then you have this burst of energy, something comes out, and I'm astrologer and it's about me, so I cannot see, okay? So that's the thing. Look at vertex here on Lilith, 11 degrees. Keep on speaking about this. Venus Uranus is this weekend. I know Israel said she's going to attack Iran and Yom Kippur. You guys supposed to be fasting. I guess it's good food. Farsi food is great food. They don't want to cook a Jewish meal for this Friday. Okay? But there are some things fated. Venus opposing Uranus this weekend fated. What it's going to bring? Some sort of a divorce. Okay? Because it's an opposition. There can also be some sort of a sudden union that is meant to liberate you. So Venus is always, you can meet somebody, go head over heels. It's meant to liberate you in some way, and then you can say goodbye. But you need to make it break through. You need to think, what is this coming to? She's going to be on the 22nd degree tomorrow. So I'll probably be doing some water expands upon cooling. I'm going to say it. I get a nudge. Do this episode. To tend to this, tend to that. But you know, if I tend to this, you're going to get mad. I tend to this, you get mad. What you thought was going to happen? It's me tending to this man. Okay? So that's a part of these things. That's a part of these things. And it's not a, but it's also a psychological process where you go with Venus here in Scorpio, something contracts you into the point where it go, you're excreting yourself from the situation. Okay. So I don't know what will be tomorrow. Venus is on the 22nd degree. It's going to conjunct my Mars. And that's interesting. I'm going to probably have a Eureka teaching. And now I'm just in the midst of it. So you want to see where is that going for you. And it's Venus Day tomorrow. So Venus Day with Venus on the 22nd degree. And the Mars applying to post Pluto. Now, I have to come with teaching because I cannot do it like that. I cannot just leave you like that. I can tell you what it says, but I cannot just leave you like that. Oh, you know what I remember? Remember the episode where I did, at the end of the episode, I did the 2. Okay? When Wilders were coming with the thunder. And that was the episode. I was trying, for the first time, I was trying the technique to watch when I look at chart. And then I look chart of the occasion. And I saw this episode on this chart of the occasion. Now I'm going to do that. And it was a woman that was murdered. A sweet, sweet young girl. It was a misdaadverslaggever. It was a Peter case. And she was murdered. I don't remember from where was the origin of the friend or the person that murdered her, but it fell like because she was woman, the rage was taken out of her, on her, by someone who is not Dutch. And the issue of the origin was an issue. And I remembered, as said, unfortunately, I think it's also coming to terms. Something happened with my makler as well, okay? Because he Moroccan, but I got nothing against Moroccans. Yes, but I'm not Orthodox, of course. So sometimes people could think you have something against them. It's not at all like that. And then they can build up buildings in their heads. Like, it's not at all like that. Or you try to get at me because of it doesn't matter why. But I remembered when I was head of crime organization, when I was in between houses in Israel, also central Israel, and he told me, women, they would marry women that are Ashkenazi on purpose, torture them, on purpose marry and torture them. And he says Arabs are doing this now with Jewish women. And he tells me, he's a man, okay, he tells me, and then he wants for me to sleep with him for rent, okay? There was a little bit of a mess, and I had no idea, head of a crime organization, and police stops me because I have no way to sleep and so on, and the police stops me. She's like, well, he let you out. It's like, that's what you got to say. And they just went off. Okay? That's Israel. So remember for this episode with Peter, when Peter the First was looking at this case, and I didn't look at the end of the episode, and that came up. And that was the episode where I made the two gender sign. It was the two sign. I was kind of like, it's kind of like you're intuiting, channeling. It was channeling for this sign. And then the big crisis was happening around, when I said, I was laughing about the fact that Royce the First kind of exposed Peter. Because he was talking about the Korban out and showing, for the picture on the plane. And Peter's doing this. And to the first kind of couple of months ago, she says like, well, everybody is like this. Everybody is hermaphrodite. Everybody is in the cult, including Peter Rabbit Hole. And I was like, which Peter? Their Peter, our Peter, which Peter? And I was like, this Peter. And Royce exposed it. That's the son. Okay? And then everybody went kaboom. And I was like, but what? What I say? Now I know you're a survivor of the satanic ritual abuse, how to perpetrate it too, and that's it, okay? Now it's out. So that was the two gender, and I was addressing this on my Instagram as well. And now kind of like this is coming again, because Uranus is coming to that point. And I think Venus, tomorrow I'm going to have like a teaching about, so maybe I would look, it will very likely pop up. Now everybody, man, what can I do? You got the teacher, you got everything. Okay? But now it's kind of funny, because with my makler it's even funnier. Okay? And so you notice how much okay people say that everything's not okay? Not at all okay. So Venus is having applying to direct confrontation with Uranus. Where is it in your chart? If I was thinking about, Venus going to the 22, water expands upon cooling and so on, internationally, something happens abroad with the car and the woman and so on. If you could look at that episode again, and then for the confrontation with Uranus right now, in my neighborhood, my makler, them being Moroccan and me like, I got North African roots, but they don't know it because I'm young blood. No, doesn't matter, the young blood is Cherokee, but whatever. I didn't know that. Okay, so everybody having their mind all mixed and everything pops because, I don't know, maybe because I stay alive, I don't know. Like, is that, I have no idea what was going on there. But of course it pops. With the real estate bubble, it pops. So we got again this topic coming out on another roundabout. And there was a woman that she was also kidnapped for medical experiments and had horrible time. She lesbian. And she tells me, I feel like marrying a man on purpose and make him my slave. I'm like, well, darling, if you do this, then you're the same as this man. And then she said, you work for the Baal because you think the men and women equal. I was like, no. Baal don't think men and women equal. But for this, what you do is also MK Ultra. This also MK Ultra. This thingy. A free man did not oppress another, a free woman did not oppress another. Okay? But here I had for this thing that men do to women, she said, oh, I'm going to do this to men. I was like, no. I'm with you on the topic of you got kidnapped for medical experiments. It's just all these things. You got your rights and people mistreat her because she has a skin problem and so on. But when it comes to doing that, then this is just what happened to these men. Okay, they got raped, they got kidnapped, they got this, they got raped. It's very. I can't say raped at birth because it's kind of like for the mother. If you think about the birthing process, the mother, and so on, that was in my head a lot. If you think about these hermaphrodites, they are born in such a process where everything is rape, okay? And the child born into it, then the child is raped, okay? So they have this huge rage and no outlet. That's the leaders. That's the people who decide what they're going to do in the war. If we don't provide for them access to exit violence, okay, all energy, all malefic energy back to sender. If it's more humane for a person to die, then so be it. Then we have to understand that what we're dealing with. So this is Venus, Venus in Scorpio. It's very deep, it's very passionate, it's very to the core of things, okay? It's playing on certain elements that are deeply psychological. And when there's no grace for both genders and both like the feminine and the masculine, it's a blockade, okay? But the blockade is bursting. So there has to be a lot of grace when you confront this, and a lot of, there's going to be tension relief, but for that not to burst into like violent action, they actually have to be, it's every place with Uranus, every place where we're not honoring of our inner Mars, inner Venus, that's going to pop. So for that to be liberated. When that is liberated, either you're going to go your separate ways for whichever case, and you're like, okay, that was necessary for liberation of my psyche, for liberation from this, for liberation of that, and you might be healthier as a result of that. Or alternatively, if it's your like long-term relationships that you have or something like that, that can alternatively, you're both very intuitive, can be a situation where you clear the blockade and you have the inner grace to hold, okay, for the thing. As with Uranus, is sudden. Makeup, breakup. Very sudden. Tomorrow is a risky day because certain murders can happen, very related to that and are sudden. So now this is where I say, first of all, I think our goal is very likely to be minima. So we're not going to address the true beta per se directly. Andromeda would be appropriate. Spica would be appropriate. Tomorrow Venus day. So Spica appropriate, Andromeda appropriate. Not Venus itself. Yes, Spica, yes, Andromeda. even fallout, because it's about going into the deep. Okay, it's indirect, but even fallout can assist. Procyon is always the denucleificator. Okay, but Procyon here is going to trigger, first of all, the moon. Oh, it's not the moon, but it's going to trigger things, because Procyon, how it works, it's the Nelson Mandela fixed star. So what did Nelson Mandela do to combat apartheid? He said, I'm going to learn what I have to learn from colonizer, and I'm going to abolish a bloodline segregation that anyway we had in our tribal society. Okay, great authenticity. That's why it was controversial among his tribes. So Procyon is going to trigger this even further and deeper so that you can release the entirety of it. I'd still call on process because it's the sweetener of conflict, but this is how it operates. Okay, how did if I did manage to do some energy work that avoided the people to go kaboom on the Azrieli building, they would not take down the entire building, but they could harm some people, is because I released energy. I was on location where perhaps a couple of 10, 20 meters underneath, maybe the children are, and I talked to people around satanic ritual abuse, around this, around that, around the caves, around all these things, was set intention for to release this, to solve this problem, okay, for entire Azrieli group, okay, for to solve the lineage, okay. This is how it operates. I was in the spot underneath, putting the oil right for the closest where to, and releasing energy that allowed for some mitigation. It's like, hey, this is what could be, and you give it more chance. Okay, maybe you will address it. Maybe they will repent. This is how astrological magic works. Not only how, but okay, the magic is both magical and not magical in the sense that it's actual people doing actual things. Speaking up is an actual thing. Releases energy. If you're going to tend to that, then you're going to grow prosperity, or entire building comes down. Very obvious. And that was going to happen anyway. The magic is where it didn't happen. But it didn't happen because there was some karma release around this. This is how we tend to it, consensually tending to the topic, and then we mitigate the karma. So for tomorrow, consensually tend to the Procyon effect. Okay? Consensually call on Andromeda and Spica, because Andromeda is opposing a Spica. Okay, it's a constellation, but it's in front of Spica. Spica is where there was injustice, and then there is justice. Andromeda is the sweetening, the reconciliation, releasing of hostages, releasing from kidnapping. But it's also reconciliation, even when people were cheating. Okay, and I hone in the work of Christopher Warnock on this. So, and Andromeda can give you that. It's going to be reconciling with what you reconcile, but it's also going to be justice. It's not reconciling what we don't need to reconcile. It's also going to be justice. Okay, and those things, they both matter. And Spica, you want that people don't have access to justice. Now, if you think that the Supreme Court judges are also intelligence people and they have to murder, rape, and torture children on tape every once in a while to keep extortable so that they can be trusted by the intelligence, then you can understand how does that affect sexual boundary violence litigations. Either we legalize pedophilia, or everybody's to blame for what happened to them. Okay? You see that everything's not okay, and I say, okay, because everything's not okay. It's not okay. It needs to be okay, but this way not okay. This way is going to blow up entire Earth. Everybody knows that. That's about to be. And then they'll blame the Moroccan. But the Moroccan also have to stop wedding people to enslave them or trying to, from the other way, enslave them whenever they are at this point and they need to throw their frustration at somebody, for otherwise they're going to lose not just the business, okay? We're not going to blame it on the Moroccan, but hey, the Moroccan has to act when it comes to women as well and children. So, and it's always going to be something unusual like that. When there was, if I take it back to COVID, before 7th October, there was a lot of violence between Arabs and Jews. 2 cases. One, a pack of Arabs think they got a Jew, beat them up, they got an Arab. Then exactly opposite. Like, can't you see the dumb fuckery? Okay. Because there's going to be a world war of that. If you don't identify this now, they're just going to proceed. So this is the Venus-Uranus. Tomorrow they're going to be very unusual because, for example, this is a situation where if women were afraid that men would murder them or rape them or this or that, it can be a turnaround. Okay, this is any such situation on the 22, where people think rape and murder, then is turning back the energy. Uranus is going to do something unusual with that. Like that friend who was a woman, lesbian woman, said, I feel like wedding a man and abuse him. Yet, and of course, I'm not supportive of that, but those things can happen now in the opposition. So, again, Spica and Andromeda. Especially if you're a man suffering from this and you're not to blame for this. But this also, I must tell you, with Uranus, person being the type of person that's been acting up. Yes. And this is Uranus karma. This is why when I say, why did I start this episode? I said, everything back to send of whatever bad energy. And if it's more humane for a person to die, so be it. I'm not going to send this dumb fuckery that's going on in the world back to sender. I'm not gonna mess with karmas, okay? This is not, sometimes a death with dignity is better for a person if they send something bad. I have to protect myself, I have to send it back to sender, of course. But if it's more humane for them to die, then they can cross over and do that with Jesus. I don't know. Talk to Jesus. Okay. I don't know. No, I want to show you a picture. Let's see if I can have it here. It's not camera. It's going to be in screenshots. And this is the one. This is basically, it was from a group about cars. They say you park like a dick. I think it's, Scorpio is an international language. Mars rules dicks and rules Scorpio. So I don't think I need to translate this. One of the posts was not about cars, but that was the grave. And yesterday I thought about one, they say that before you think about revenge, dig 2 graves. And I say, if I just speak up in order to heal and to protect myself, and people try and think about vengeance towards me, they should take a very close look at this picture. This is how I sum the current skies. With Mars, with Pluto, with Venus, with Jupiter, with Saturn. Okay, you get the graves here, the unusual graves. So if I just speak up to freaking heal, right? Ah. And somebody thinks they're gonna be vengeful with me because I chose life, they better dig up to grave, but they might be the only one buried in it. So beware.